Professor Maskin, thank you so much for the honor and the privilege of having you here at the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy today. We really very much benefited from your excellent lecture on why has globalization increased inequality in developing countries. We just wanted to ask you a few follow-up questions now, in particular as it relates to the field of cultural diplomacy. My first question for you, what role does cultural diplomacy have in overcoming development challenges that arise in multilateral trade negotiations?
Well, we know that different countries, because of their different cultures, do business differently, and for them to trade profitably with one another, they have to have some idea of what business is like in the other culture, in the other country. That's where I think cultural exchanges, cultural diplomacy, as you put it, can play an important educational role. By learning about another country's culture, you learn how to conduct business with that country.
Okay, excellent. And then the follow-up on that question, in your opinion, what role does cultural diplomacy have when it comes to international trade organizations, such as the World Bank, WTO, OECD, and others? Should they include cultural diplomacy projects in their agenda? And if so, why?
Well, absolutely. The World Bank, for example, is involved in providing capital, but also technical assistance in all sorts of projects in developing countries. But again, for those projects to be successful, the bank has to understand what is the thought process in the minds of the people who are actually undertaking those projects. Their thought processes might not be the same as those of the advisors. Somehow that gap has to be bridged, and I think cultural diplomacy is a way of doing that.
As you and I were discussing before, really this two-way street where it's just as much about listening as it is speaking when it comes to the cultural diplomacy, as opposed to cultural diplomacy models of the past, which were more unidirectional. So no, I fully agree. I fully agree. My colleague would also like to ask a few questions.
Yeah, if I could just maybe move it to a more private sector role for cultural diplomacy. With the economic growth returning to America 2 years now, and the corporations posting record profits. And what do you think the responsibility of corporations is to the people, to society, and in promoting growth and jobless or recovery of jobs?
Well, corporations are there for the benefit of society. What they produce, their raison d'etre is to improve the world that they are producing for, and so in particular, they have a responsibility at a time of economic recovery to do what they can to hire workers,
Sure.
train workers. They're not the only ones with this responsibility, but they certainly share in the responsibility.
Of course, yeah. And maybe if I could ask you to do the impossible and make some predictions about 2012, will this be the year that everyone stops worrying about the euro crisis?
Yeah, I find the euro crisis to be a tragedy in the sense that it's an artificial problem. It's a problem. It's a problem of a poor organizational setup. If the European Monetary Union, which quite successfully unified monetary policy in the Eurozone, had at the same time unified fiscal policy, we would never have had a euro crisis in the first place. It was the failure to take care of the fiscal side, the tax and
Sure.
spend side, to have some integration of fiscal policy in Europe. That was the root cause. I see that failure as tragic because it was so easily, it could so easily have been prevented.
And given your work, what is your suggestion for companies looking to develop a CSR program in both developing and the developed world, corporate social responsibility program?
Well, I think such programs are very useful. As I was saying before, corporations are there to serve society, and they have to understand that they are responsible to society. So, to the extent that programs
Sure.
like these make corporations aware, that's all for the good.
Okay.
Professor Maskin, I would like to thank you once again for having made the journey to Berlin, for the excellent lecture, and also for answering some of the questions in the interview. We really appreciated it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for the
Pleasure.
invitation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.